This is Wandering Universe. Today, yes today, I'll be telling you a story of a different kind that has left one person mesmerized in splendor after watching an extraordinary anomaly. So, let's go exploring.
Keep your mouth shut. Army vets tell all about their alien encounter in the Middle East.
In this video, U.S. Navy personnel recorded what appears to be triangles, some flashing, recorded several years ago, off the coast of the United States. This was recorded while the U.S. Navy ship observed a number of small unmanned aerial systems in the area. And importantly, the video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera. These remained unresolved for several years.
Meanwhile, this is being used as a distraction for the public. Don't think about the shitty economy right before the midterms. Look, we've got more UFO disclosure. You ain't never gonna get it, I'm sorry.
In the beginning, there was nothing, only darkness. Then, something indescribable happened. Out of the blue, a universe magically formed. Then, out popped galaxies, billions upon billions of them scattered all over the quadrant. Then, the glorious Milky Way evolved, along with hundreds and thousands of other planets dotting the starry scape. And within it lies our solar system. At present, only one planet showed sustainable life: Earth. A planet we felt right at home. Until now. Then, out of nowhere, along came these flying objects watching from above. As we evolved through pressure and time of Earth's geological landscape, advanced visitors settled along the celestial equator. A new civilization cultivated the Earth. Today, they have left their mark of abandoned ruins in search of life elsewhere. But what do we make of these strange spatial anomalies hovering our friendly skies? Are they a threat to our safe space survival? Or are they patiently waiting for something to happen to us? So, whose big idea was it that conjured up some fantasy threat that UFOs are endangering us? Don't tell me it was the government cronies, right? I knew it. Driving our brains to the point of insanity, doctoring up excuses under the sun, ripping and ready for the threat of a UFO invasion. But of course, they knew the whole UFO saga is nothing but a load of BS. Oh, how diplomatic. If we, as people, are still spotting UFOs captured on our mobile phones, then why are they denying the truth? Many of these photos tell a story of other beings that had once visited this planet back in the last ice age. They've staked their claim in stone as a sign of peace. But to the American government bureaucrats who have much to do about nothing, it certainly sparked a firecracker storm in a teacup drama. These sightings are not mere flukes. They have been well documented for centuries, and it will not stop there. More and more sightings continue to be reported on the internet, igniting our curious fascination for the unknown. These odd UFO sightings will not disappear overnight. They are a welcoming sight watching them abseiling their way across the planet, silently observing us. So, their intentions are made very clear. They're surveying us, No big deal. So, what are they waiting for? Something to happen? Sure, Top Dog's political goons have harvested phony threats, poisoning our weaknesses like it's War of the Worlds. Ready to push our buttons for all hell to break loose. But for one woman, they never posed a threat to her at all. And why should they? She spotted these little darlings prancing about in the night sky like they were doing water ballet. To her, it was pretty spectacular. Here is her story.
It simply means it's something that is aloft in the sky and you can't readily identify it. I've seen a UFO. I saw one when I was about, it was like 9 or 10 years old when I was outside. There was a light going across the sky. I know it wasn't a comet or a meteor because I know what those look like. I've seen them before. It was blinking, and considering the speed that it moved, I judged that it couldn't be a commercial jet because if it were close enough to simply seem like it was moving a lot faster, it should have had a sonic boom. And if it was a helicopter, you'd hear it too. If it's therefore much further up, it must be moving very quickly. I knew it wasn't the International Space Station, so I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm looking at right now. It's a UFO. I don't know what it was. But that doesn't mean it's a flying saucer, and it doesn't mean that it's piloted by Alf, or something like that. Meanwhile, this is being used as a distraction for the public. Don't think about the shitty economy right before the midterms. Look, we've got more UFO disclosure. You ain't never gonna get it, I'm sorry.
This next story of her UFO sighting imprinted her mind like a photo album. It happened in 1998 during a warm spring night. She had just finished her acting gig at a local theatre house in Cheltenham, south of Melbourne in Victoria. It was a clear night, noted by several stars that sparkled brightly in the night sky. After the show, she gathered outside with a bunch of other actors near the theatre car park. Amongst the large crowd, she stood next to several people, including two men, contentedly chatting away. Whilst listening in to a conversation within the group, she peered up to the sky and noticed something unusual floating by. At first, she mistook it for balloons, but it's impossible to see small white balloons wavering in a perfect straight line in slow motion. Much to her surprise, she noticed 3 bright, disc-shaped orbs gently floating by. She quietly observed these strange glowing orbs as they moved in a triangular formation and remained as such for a short time. Then they swapped places to form a single file. It made her mind curious in wonder at what it could be. She glimpsed at several onlookers calmly watching these strange disc-shaped orbs casually hovering past. It's as if these flying orbs were left undisturbed. For some onlookers, they dismissed it as nothing special, whilst others looked on with fascination. She watched the 3 strange disc-shaped orbs pass through the neighbourhood. She couldn't quite grasp what to make of it. She wasn't alone. Even 2 of the male actors were quite awestruck by this phenomena. She asked one of the actors if they were seeing the same thing. Both agreed they spotted something from out of this world. All 3 of them stood glancing at these disc-shaped orbs dancing about like they were performing water ballet. They shone a bright white hue that made their size even bigger. Then, something out of the blue astonished her. Each of the 3 disc-shaped orbs swapped positions, forming geometric patterns. The one at the back swapped its place to the front, the one in the middle reciprocated to the back, and the one in the back moved to the middle one at a time. She saw them form a pattern of a straight dotted line, then change to a triangle formation for a moment. At that moment, she pondered questions to the 2 gentlemen who were curiously amazed at this wonder. Questions like, is it a military helicopter, aircraft, engine noise, beacon lights, kerosene fumes, or any of the man-made mechanical possibilities? And their suspicions confirmed none represented what they had seen. The glowing disc-shaped orbs proceeded to spread out into a triangular formation once again, then gently guiding themselves back in unison to a single file. A moment later, they regrouped to a triangle shape, except for one. This disc-shaped orb moved to the front, leading the others behind it. It moved further away, like it was leading the pack. This sight went on for a good 20 minutes. She focused her attention on them slowly floating past the theatre car park, over nearby houses, and further out in the distance until they were out of sight. Perplexed and baffled, she questioned the actors to confirm if what they saw was a spatial anomaly. They all looked at each other in absolute astonishment as they confirmed yes. What she saw that night, and many others, were UFOs. She wasn't the only one that witnessed them. At least 50 other onlookers were watching this phenomena. She made sure she ruled out any possibility that it was a man-made machine like a military aircraft of any type. Ironically, none were flying above the area that evening. On that night, no one felt alarmed, petrified, or paranoid. Mostly calm and chilled viewing its display. But she couldn't quite confirm why many others who did see it simply denied it. The next morning, she searched the daily newspaper for any reports of the UFO sighting. No one ever mentioned this mystifying phenomenon. For years, she kept her story to herself, until one day the issue was raised by her husband, who had an interest in UFOs. In this case, it is extremely rare to spot UFOs floating past a suburb, let alone a city. The Melbourne area for decades has experienced several UFO sightings, but within the area of Cheltenham, this is the first ever UFO sighting told by her. Since then, no one has come forward to tell their story. According to political deep state, life is a battlefield filled with their lousy war strategies, that ultimately backfire unawares. They have no respect or regard for these reported sightings and dismiss them as lies. It is understandable that UFO sightings are seldom seen in overcrowded suburbs. There have been hundreds of recorded UFO footage and snapshots taken from people's backyards to a neighbourhood park. A chance to get out of their ordinary daily monotonous routine for a brief glimpse that excites their senses. Sadly, most of these sightings are treated as if it were a fleeting glance. Yet, it is important to remember that these UFO sightings are merely an invasion of Earth. It's easy for the government charlatans to psychologically play mind tricks by feeding off our insecurities, influencing gullible minds to believe what they want them to hear, rather than go out on a limb to doubt top dog's authority.
The one you're about to hear is backed up by multiple veteran witnesses. NextNewsNetwork.com reports 3 former U.S. Army cavalrymen have bravely come forward and described what they saw, a UFO in the Middle East at a military base in the Sinai Peninsula in 2014. They complained to officials about it and were told to keep your mouth shut.
Yet, the proof of these reported UFO sightings certainly outweighs their bogus indoctrination, constantly using whatever weapon of lies to suppress our sense for adventure into space.
It's basically a shiny thing. Look, it's a squirrel, a la Bezos. Distraction from inflation, from possibly the SEC decision at the Fifth Circuit a few days ago, and from all of it, from the free speech battle, Ukraine, the border, crime, and all these things, meaningful things, things that actually matter. Instead, you have the UFO House Subcommittee summoning like random generals and techies and scientists and political figures forth to talk about experiences with UFOs. Now, the video that they showed the other day that they were all wowed by effectively could show nothing more than a screw coming off of the front of a plane and flying by the engine briefly.
The truth is, these UFOs navigating our planet were never a major threat to our safe space survival, just patiently waiting for something to happen. So, hold on to your seats and fasten your seatbelts, because the next showdown is going to be one hell of a bumpy ride. In the next video, I'll be going back to good old Egypt, exploring another ancient pyramid with a difference. That's all for now.